You might not be the most talented. You might not have the same opportunities others have, but that doesn't matter. Because talent alone has never been the deciding factor between success and failure. The truth is, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. You can have all the skills in the world, but if you don't show up every single day and put in the effort, it doesn't mean a thing. That's what separates the average from the great. That's what makes legend. You don't have to be born with greatness, but you do have to be willing to grind for it. And not once in a while, every single day. Think about it. How many talented people do you know who never made it? How many people had the potential but didn't follow through? That's because talent might open the door, but it's hard work that walks through it. Talent might give you a head start, but hard work is what carries you to the finish line. It's the person who shows up early, who stays late, who studies the game, who pushes themselves past exhaustion. That's the one who wins. And if you're not willing to do that, then you'll always be playing catch up. See, people respect hustle. They respect work ethic. You might not be the best at what you do at first, but if you put in the hours, if you put in the sacrifice, if you're consistent, you will surpass the ones who are better than you. It's only a matter of time. Most people quit. Most people can't take the pressure. Most people don't want it bad enough. But if you commit to grinding harder than everybody else, you become unstoppable. You become the kind of person who can't be denied. And don't get it twisted. Hard work isn't glamorous. It's not always exciting. It's waking up early when you're dead tired. It's doing the same thing over and over to master it. It's being uncomfortable, pushing past pain, ignoring distraction. You've got to want it so bad that you're willing to suffer for it. Because there are no shortcuts, no hacks, no magic formulas. The only way up is through the grind, through the struggle, through the work that nobody sees. When talent fails to show up, when talent starts slacking, when talent thinks it's entitled, that's when the grinder rises. That's when the person with no excuses steps in. That's when the one who's been overlooked, the one who's been underestimated, steps up and dominates. Because you can't out-talk work. You can't outperform consistency. You can't ignore results that were earned through relentless effort. It doesn't matter what your background is. Doesn't matter where you come from, who doubted you, or how far behind you feel. What matters is how bad you want it. What matters is what you're willing to do when nobody's watching. That's when greatness is created. Not on the stage, but behind the scene. Not when the lights are on, but when it's just you, your vision, and your discipline. When you show up tired, when you show up discouraged, when you show up alone, when you still put in the work. The real question is, are you willing to pay the price? Because there's a price for success. There's a cost to rise to the top. And most people aren't willing to pay it. They want the glory, but not the grind. They want the results, but not the process. But not the process. But not you. You're different. You understand that it's not about talent. It's about how deep you're willing to dig. How many times you're willing to get knocked down and stand up stronger. How committed you are to getting better, even when nobody claps for you. The grind isn't for everybody. But if you want to outwork everybody, if you want to be great, then you've got to embrace the work. You've got to fall in love with the process, because that's where the magic happens. Not in talent, not in luck, not in shortcuts, but in the grind, in the hunger, in the hustle, day after day, year after year. That's what builds champions. So when you see someone with more talent than you, don't be intimidated. Don't shrink. Don't back down. Smile, because you got something they don't. The will to work, the willingness to suffer, the commitment to grind when they get lazy. And when talent gets tired, when talent falls off, you'll still be standing, because you weren't relying on gifts. You were relying on grit. That's what wins in the long run. That's what lasts. That's how you outwork everybody, buddy. Your work ethic is the one thing nobody can take from you. It doesn't matter where you were born, what your GPA was, or what your bank account looks like. You may not control your circumstances, but you control how you respond to them. You control how much effort you put in. You control how hard you work when the lights are off and nobody's clapping. Your work ethic is your superpower. When you use it right, it turns ordinary into extraordinary. Too many people are waiting for the perfect opportunity, the perfect time, the perfect setup. But the truth is, opportunity doesn't wait around for you to be ready. It shows up for the one who's been grinding when nobody was looking. It shows up for the one who didn't skip the reps. It shows up for the one who stayed in the lab, who stayed late after practice, who studied the craft when everyone else was distracted. That's what work ethic does. It builds momentum. And once you've got momentum, you become unstoppable. You don't become great by doing what's easy. You become great by doing what's necessary, even when you don't feel like it. Your emotions don't run your work ethic. Your discipline does. It's waking up early when you're tired. And it's staying on Friday night while your friends are partying. This showing up to work when you're mentally drained. Because you've made a decision that greatness is not optional. It's mandatory. It's not enough to want success. Everybody wants it. But what separates the people who succeed from the people who just talk is work ethic. When you got a strong work ethic, you don't need to announce your intention. And says, people see it in your actions. They see it in your consistency. They see it in your results. You don't need to brag about how hard you grind. The results speak for you. The hustle becomes your voice. The progress becomes your story. And work ethic isn't about speed. It's about showing up daily and giving your all, even when the progress feels slow. It's about being patient, yet relentless. It's about chopping at the tree every day, even when it doesn't fall right away. You might not see the results today, but if you keep going, if you stay committed, one day the tree falls. One day the breakthrough happens. One day your name rings because you kept working when nobody was watching. You see, people quit not because they aren't capable, but because they don't understand how work ethic works. They want instant gratification. They want shortcuts. But if you live by shortcuts, you'll always fall short. There's no shortcut to success. There's only the grind. There's only the hours, the sweat, the effort, the repetition. If you embrace that, you're already ahead of 95% of people. And the beautiful part is this. You don't have to be gifted to outwork somebody. You don't have to be naturally talented. You just have to be relentless. You have to decide that no one is going to outwork you. That no matter how tired you are, you're going to show up. That no matter how many times you fail, you're going to keep swinging. Because this isn't about how you feel. It's about what you're committed to. There's a power in showing up every day and giving your best. Not your excuses, not your complaints. Your best, even on the bad days, even when it hurts, even when nobody says thank you. That consistency builds character. That effort becomes who you are. And once your identity is rooted in effort, you become dangerous. Because now you're not waiting for motivation. You're built on discipline. You're built on habits. And that's when results explode. People will try to measure your success, but they'll never be able to measure your work ethic. That's your secret weapon. That's the thing that levels the playing field. It's the one trait that separates you from the pack. When they quit early, you push further. When they complain, you adjust. When they fold under pressure, you focus. That's how you win. Not by luck, not by talent, but by outworking everybody in the room. Even when the odds are against you, even when your back's against the wall, your work ethic will carry you. Even when the plan doesn't go right, your grind will adapt. That's why you don't need to panic. You just need to keep working, keep building, keep showing up. That's your edge. That's your power. Your work ethic can't be stolen, copied, or faked. It's built in silence, but it echoes for life. So if you want to be legendary, if you want to rise above average, if you want your dreams to come alive, you already have the one thing that matters, your work ethic. Use it, nurture it, protect it. Let it carry you further than anyone expected. Because when talent gets tired, when motivation fades, when pressure comes, you'll still be standing, you'll still be grinding, and you'll be ready to win. Champions are not made when the crowd is cheering. They're not born in stadiums or on stages under bright lights. Champions are made in the dark, in the lonely hours, in the silence, when no one is watching and no one is applauding. That's where greatness is truly developed. It's not about the performance people see. It's about the preparation they don't. Because what happens in the dark is what shapes you for the spotlight. In the dark, it's just you and your choices. No coaches yelling, no fans clapping, no teammates hyping you up. Just you, raw, exposed, honest. It's where you find out who you really are. Will you still go hard when nobody's holding you accountable? Will you still push when the only reward is knowing you didn't quit? That's the test. And that's what separates the elite from everybody else. The people who only show up when there's attention don't last. The ones who grind in silence, they're the ones who dominate when the lights come on. That's the part most people never see. They see the touchdown, but they don't see the 5 a.m. workouts. They see the speech, but not the hundreds of hours spent rehearsing, failing, correcting, repeating. They see the victory, not the bruises, the exhaustion, the frustration, the sacrifice, but champions see it all. Champions live in that grind. They welcome the dark because they know it's necessary. You can't skip the struggle and expect a success. You can't fast forward to greatness. You have to live through the grind that builds it. See, when you train in the dark, you remove the need for applause. You stop seeking approval. You work for a different reason. It's not for validation, it's for transformation. You're not chasing lights, you're chasing legacy. You become addicted to growth, addicted to mastery. That's what the dark does. It strips away distractions and reveals your hunger. You stop caring what others think because you know the work you're putting in is real. It's consistent. It's relentless. And that's what makes you dangerous. Because while others are waiting for motivation, you're showing up out of habit. While others take days off, you're putting in reps. While others need a crowd, you just need a goal. That mindset makes you untouchable. Because the one who trains alone, who suffers in silence, who grinds when there's no one to impress, that person will always be more prepared than the one who only works when it's convenient or visible. So, the dark is where your edge is forged. It's where you develop patience, discipline, mental toughness. You learn to deal with discomfort. You learn to trust the process even when the results don't come right away. You start to understand that the journey is the reward, that every sweat drop, every late night, every early morning, it's all worth it. Because it's preparing you for a moment that will demand everything you built. And when that moment comes, you'll be ready. Not because of talent, not because of luck, but because you put in the work when nobody was watching. People forget that the lights only shine for a moment. The game lasts a few minutes. The speech only takes an hour, but the preparation, that takes years. The foundation has to be stronger than the performance. And that foundation is built in private. It's built when nobody believes in you, when nobody is checking for you, when it's just you and your dream and a will that refuses to die. That's why you can't skip the dark. You can't cheat the grind. You can't avoid the discomfort and still expect to grow. Every champion has a dark chapter, a season where they felt overlooked, undervalued, misunderstood. But they didn't let that stop them. They turned that pain into power. They stayed in the lab. They studied, they trained, they evolved. And when the moment finally came, they didn't flinch because they had already lived it in their minds 1,000 times. You don't rise to the occasion. You fall to your level of preparation. And that level is built in the dark. It's built when you stay late to perfect the details. It's built when you refuse to skip steps. It's built when you practice not until you get it right, but until you can't get it wrong. That's what makes a champion. Not talent, not height, but preparation, work, time, repetition. So if you're in the dark right now, don't be discouraged. That's where you're supposed to be. That's where champions are made. Keep showing up, keep putting in the work, keep believing when nobody else does. Because one day the lights will come on, the opportunity will come. And when it does, you won't need to fake it. You won't need luck. You'll be ready because you earned it in the dark. Excuses are easy. They come naturally when things get hard, when life pushes back, when progress is slow. But champions don't live in excuses. They understand excuses. They understand that excuses are the language of the broke, the beaten, the ones who never even tried. Every time you make an excuse, you trade your power for comfort. You give up control of your destiny and place it in the hands of something or someone else. But when you stop making excuses, you take ownership, and ownership is the first step to greatness. You can't say you want success and then blame the weather, your boss, your parents, your past, or your surroundings. Success doesn't respond to complaints. It responds to action. It doesn't care how you feel or what's going wrong. It only honors those who keep showing up, keep pushing forward, and keep fighting through adversity. If you want to win, you've got to stop justifying your lack of progress with weak reasons. Because every excuse you make is a brick in the wall that separates you from your goals. But everyone's got something, and everyone's been through pain, setbacks, obstacles. You think you're the only one. You think the greats didn't have reasons to quit? You think they didn't have moments of doubt, of failure? Of course they did. Of course they did. The difference is they didn't use those moments as excuses. They used them as fuel. They didn't say, I can't because of this. They said, I must despite this. That's the mindset. That's the mindset. That's the energy. That's what it takes to ride when everything in you wants to stay down. Excuses are seductive because they make you feel better in the short term. They let you off the hook. They allow you to shift blame, but they cost you everything in the long term. They rob you of discipline, they steal your progress, and they make sure you stay right where you are. The harsh truth is nobody cares about your excuses. The world rewards execution, not explanation. So while you're explaining why you didn't do it, someone else is doing it and passing you by. Stop telling yourself the same story over and over. I'm too tired. I don't have time. Well, I wasn't born with the resources. Rewrite that story. Say, I'm tired, but I'm still grinding. But still grinding if I have time, so I'm making time. I wasn't born with it, so I built it. You have the ability to change your life, but only if you stop hiding behind your excuses and start facing your responsibilities. Your dreams don't respond to your reasons. They respond to your resolve. You've got to be honest with yourself, brutally honest. Ask yourself, am I doing everything I can? Am I pushing myself to my limit? Or am I finding reasons to hold back? You can't fix what you won't face. And as long as you keep making excuses, you give yourself permission to stay average. But the moment you say, oh, no more, the moment you commit to showing up no matter what, that's when everything starts to change. It's not about being perfect. It's about being accountable. When you fall short on it, when you mess up, admit it. But don't make excuses. Learn the lesson and move forward. Excuses are like chains. The more you use them, the tighter they grip. But accountability is freedom. It unlocks growth, it builds character. It strengthens your mindset. That's the difference between winners and everybody else. They don't hide behind excuses. They face the problem and find a solution. Your goals don't care about how hard your day was. Your vision doesn't adjust because you're feeling all. Discipline doesn't take sick days. The grind doesn't stop for your comfort. That's the harsh reality. But once you embrace, once you lean into the difficulty instead of running from it, you become unstoppable because you've removed your excuses. And without those, there's nothing holding you back but your own effort. You want to be different, then act different. Stop doing what average people do. Average people make excuses. Champions make adjustments. Average people talk about problems. Champions solve them. Average people wait for motivation. Champions rely on consistency. You got to decide who you are. You got to decide what you're willing to do, what you're willing to sacrifice, and what you're no longer willing to tolerate from yourself. Don't let excuses become your identity. Don't be the person who always has a reason for why they could. Be the one who could, who did, and who never stopped trying. You weren't born to be average. You weren't born to be stuck. You were born with a purpose, and excuses are the enemy of purpose. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to have all the resources. You just need to start and keep going. Let others talk. Let others quit. Let others justify. You execute, you outwork, you overcome. That's how you win. When you decide to outwork everybody, you're not just committing to a higher level of effort. You're setting a standard that most people aren't willing to match. This mindset isn't about comparing yourself to others. It's about holding yourself to a relentless personal standard. It's about going the extra mile, not once, but every single day. You don't clock in and out of this mindset. It becomes who you are. Consistent, disciplined, and unshakable in your pursuit of excellence. A true competitor doesn't look around to see what everyone else is doing. They look inward and ask, did I give everything I had today? That question alone separates those who coast from those who conquer. It's easy to perform when it's game day or when there's an audience watching, but the real test is what you do when no one's watching, when there's no scoreboard, no immediate reward. That's when the separation happens. The ones who push when it's uncomfortable, the ones who grind when it's boring, they're the ones who rise. Outworking everybody means mastering the boring. It means falling in love with repetition. Success is not sexy. It's not made up of highlight reels and viral moments. It's built in the quiet hours of the morning. In the long days when motivation is gone and only discipline remains, you don't get to choose your moments. You train so hard that when the moment arrives, you're ready without even thinking. You've already lived it 100 times in the shadows. And understand this, there's always someone more talented, always someone smarter, stronger, quicker. But talent without effort is wasted. You can't control how gifted someone else is, but you can control your intensity, your consistency, and your willingness to suffer for what you want. Most people stop when they're tired. The elite stop when they're done. That's the difference. That's the edge. The ability to say, I'm not stopping at 80%. I'm not stopping at what's comfortable. I'm finishing. When you work like this, people start to notice, not because you're talking about it, but because the results are undeniable. Your work speaks for you. Your improvement is your announcement. And make no mistake, when you outwork everyone, you build something that can't be faked. You build respect. You build mental toughness. You build credibility, not just in the eyes of others, but in your own. You start to trust yourself because you've proven that you show up every day, regardless of the conditions. There's power in that kind of consistency. While others are searching for shortcuts, you're stacking bricks. While they're chasing trends, you're mastering fundamentals. That's why when the pressure's on, you don't crack, because pressure exposes the truth. And if the truth is you've been doing the work every day, then you're built for the moment. You're ready. That's what people don't understand. Hard work is not just physical, it's psychological. It builds resilience, clarity, and focus that no cheat code can match. And the beauty of this path is that it's available to anyone. You don't need permission to outwork people. You don't need a fancy degree or a big following or a big name. All you need is the decision to commit. Every day is a chance to gain ground. Every hour is an opportunity to sharpen your edge. Listen, if you're willing to put in more reps, more thought, more time, more energy, eventually the gap between you and everyone else becomes undeniable. People may not see the grind, but they'll see the outcome. They'll ask how you got there. And when you tell them it was just hard work, they'll nod, but they won't understand what that really means because they didn't see you show up tired. They didn't see you stay late. They didn't feel your doubt, your fear, your fatigue, and push through it anyway. That's the part that makes it yours. That's what turns effort into identity. That's what earns greatness. There are no guarantees in life, but one thing is for sure. If you don't put in the work, you don't get the reward. If you slack, you lose. But when you make it your mission to outwork everybody, you tip the odds in your favor. You give yourself the best possible chance to win. And even when you don't win right away, you build a foundation that can't be shaken. Because that kind of work ethic doesn't just help you reach goals. It transforms you into someone who can handle anything life throws at you. This is about more than success. About who you become in the process, the habits you build, the character you develop, the respect you earn. Outworking everybody isn't about ego. It's about legacy. It's about proving to yourself that you didn't waste your potential. And when it was your time, you gave everything. So keep pushing, keep showing up, keep doing what most won't, because that's how you become what most can.